Hello. Today I want to be answering the question, how much can you realistically pay as a property investor if you're going down the rent vesting path? Now, I'm a rent investor, so I just wanted to run you guys through my personal portfolio situation and why it makes sense for me to rent. And hopefully that will help you guys decide whether you want to rent vest or not. Now, people have a misconception, right, that rent money is dead money. Rental money is dead money, and that can be true, but the reality is it depends. It 100% depends on what you are doing with your finances in the background. How are you creating wealth in the background? If, renting is a means to an end, if the numbers work for you to rent and invest in your situation, then do that. But it honestly, obviously, if you're just renting for the purpose of renting and you're not investing at all, then 100% it's dead money. A lot of people, when they start their investment portfolio, even like really big, really successful investors like Nathan Birch, they live at home for a very long time because instead of spending rent, they would save that money they otherwise would have spent on rent to reinvest in growing their property portfolio. And now the thing with that is, if you're going to live at home and save money in rent, just remember, don't waste your money. If you're going to stay at home, you actually have to invest the money that you otherwise would be spending on rent to invest. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Otherwise, you're not getting close to your goal. You're literally getting further away. So this is my property portfolio, and I just want to run you guys through why it makes sense for me to rent. Okay, so currently me and my wife, we have an 11 property portfolio. It is worth $4 million. Rental income on the portfolio is $264,000. The income from me and my wife's job, and when I say me and my wife, I just mean my wife because I've started a business and I don't have an income at the moment, is $110,000, bringing that total income to $375,000. And now, if you guys have watched any of my videos before, you would know that I buy positively cash flowing properties. So the rental income, and I'm not going to go into it now, but the rental income covers all the interest payments on the loan and all the running costs on the property. Now, what's actually going on in terms of wealth creation here? So the property portfolio is growing by let's just call it a 5% growth rate per annum on $4 million, which is $200,000 compounding. So when I say compounding, I mean the value, the amount of wealth that I build each year is growing. So I haven't got a calculator with me right now, but the first year, this year, it's growing by 200K. But next year, without me doing anything, without me buying any more properties, which I will, but without me doing that, the value of the portfolio growth will go up. So next year, it might be 210,000. The year after that, it might be 230,000, and so on. It just compounds and grows. And compounding growth is an amazing thing. If you don't understand it, please understand it, because that will be your biggest motivator to invest in property. So currently I'm paying $35,000 in rent per year, and the fact is my wealth is growing by 200K. So you minus 35K, you got 200K growth, and you minus $35,000 from that. And then my net position is $165,000 per year. My wealth in my property portfolio, if I do nothing at all, I could go on holidays, whatever I like, in the first year, it's growing by that much, okay? So the reality is, if that rental number was in excess of how much growth I was getting, it wouldn't make any sense to rent. But it kind of doesn't make sense in me saying that at all, because the reality is you need somewhere to live, right? So you need to spend the money. So it's very like it's very much dependent on you. And when it comes to how much rent you want to pay, it's more about what are your goals? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Where are you trying to get to? In your wealth building journey, do you want to have $10 million worth of assets, producing a passive income of 200 grand per year in 30 years? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Because that determines how much you will be willing to pay in rent. Because the reality is, if you don't have a very aggressive goal, like, say for example, you're just like, all I want to do is I just want to buy two properties, and own them debt free in 30 years. Well, you know, depending on what your income is, maybe if you're on $200,000 income, maybe you can afford to rent somewhere for $70,000 a year, which is ridiculous. But it depends on your personal situation and what your goals are. But if that same person had a goal of maybe building like a 10 property portfolio worth 10 mil, for example, then it makes more sense for them to spend a whole lot less money on rent. Like, the more frugal you are and the more aggressive you are in your investing, the further you're going to get, the quicker you're going to get there. So deciding how much you want to spend on rent depends, but realistically, you should definitely not ever be spending any more than 30% of your income on rent. And if you can get it even lower than that and be comfortable, that's great. And even if you have to live somewhere and be uncomfortable because you want to achieve your aggressive investment goals, that's great as well. It's totally, totally up to you. I just wanted to compare this, right? So currently, our total income is from our jobs. When I say our jobs, I just mean my wife's job. Again, I'm not working. But if we wanted to buy a home instead, we're just like, I'm sick of this investing, I'll just buy a home instead. Like, same position. Where would that put us? So, and this is where the rental money, like rental money is dead money, comes in. Okay, so say we didn't have a portfolio, it wasn't there. We just had an income of 110K, and we wanted to buy a home. So we buy a home, and we would be able to afford, on 110 income, we would be able to afford in this day, 2025 August, we would be able to afford a home for $800,000, and that would be at a 700K debt. The interest on that mortgage would be 43K a year. Property running costs would be 15K, and it would be costing us $58,000 per year. This property at $800,000, growing at a 7.5% interest rate, which is more than the portfolio, just to be generous to the homeowners, would be, in the first year, would be growing by $60,000 per year. And that is what is meant by, like, rental money is dead money, right? Because instead of this person who doesn't have any assets apart from their own home, instead of this person renting, like, because if me and my wife were just renting and we weren't investing, that 35K would be 100% wasted money. Wasted money. It's this expense is incurring at no benefit to us. We have a property portfolio. Generating a $200,000 net growth per year, and it is at a cost. It is at a cost of $35,000 per year. So it makes sense for us to invest in property. But this is where people come up with rental money is dead money, because they go, okay, I can buy at $110,000 a year income, I can buy an $800,000 home, and I'll just spend the money on the mortgage, and then my net position is neutral. I'm not losing money. I'm not, over a long period of time, you will gain money, but you're not wasting money on rent. You're just sitting neutral. Your wealth is growing by 60K a year. It's costing you $58,000. Completely neutral position in the first year, and after year 10, it'll start getting pretty sexy. But that's just a little comparison I just wanted to throw on the end for you guys, and hopefully that helped. But yeah, once again, if if you're on a lower income, or you have an aggressive property portfolio outlook, then spending the minimum amount on rent or minimum amount on living costs as possible is ideal for getting to your goals quicker, and living at your parents' house for as long as possible is the best move to do that, as long as you are genuinely spent using the money that you would otherwise be spending on rent to invest. Because it really, really doesn't make any sense for you, especially if you're closer to being an adult, to live at your parents' house and then just use the money to buy like a Tesla or to go on a holiday or any of that stuff. That's just silly. Why would you should if you're doing that, you may as well just become an adult and find a place to live. Like, why are you bothering to stay at your parents' house? There's absolutely no benefit to you there apart from just being a bludger. Anyways, that's it.